shareholders that are there, and you got to, have them step down, do this, to board of directors, have meet, whatever. And of course, they're up there. Ooh, we're going to get woke and make a bunch of money this time, and pinky swear. Well, what happens to these guys? Either they do what they do, and they kind of, when they did Time Warner, and Charlton Heston was a stockholder, and he went after them, Time Warner, for supporting gangster rap, and they were going out, go kill a cop kind of stuff. With Snoop Dogg and Ice-T and all this other crap. And I remember that. They get to have a say as a stockholder. Well, what happens when you get voted down by the majority of the other stockholders that are in there to do whatever the hell it is that they're doing, and they don't care about you, and you get outvoted? Then what? Well, then you just go, screw you, I'm going over here and invest in something else. So I can see that it's when they sell Newsweek for $1 to a congresswoman's rich husband. So what? I saw for a year Obama on the cover all the time. They're buying space. They did the same thing with the Arizona Republic here, USA Today. Gannett comes in and has USA Today, the Arizona Republic, and NBC Channel 12. And they call it... I don't know, AZ Central, I think that's channel ABC 1, and then they got this one as AZ Family, or whatever the hell they're and rule and control you. And we could see it from the beginning. This was not about profit. They don't care. Their money is made on the back end. It's what congressmen they got in there to support big pharma, to support big government, to support big military, to support big law enforcement, to support controls and access to your information. This is what's going on, and they will run it into the ground. Now, Democratic activists, I got a story up here, they're worried Tulsi Gabbard will launch a third-party presidential run. They go, well, that'll get Donald Trump the win. They don't care. Now, all you guys are effed up like polio anyway. So this is another threat, too. They may have a third-party thing. Then you got Justin Amash. I was up at Freedom Fest. They keep yakking, trying to negotiate, and the libertarians will, give them a cheaper way. And they kind of, we'd show you how to really do it, and you need to really do it and do it. And, of course, you got Nick Sarwark moving to Free State Project, going to New Hampshire here from Phoenix, and he's right in with that Justin Amash thing for the same reasons, and whoever's paying the bills of what was Bill Weld. Bill Weld's going in the Republican primary to try and chop up Trump a little bit. Then you got Justin Amash to do the third-party thing, anybody but Trump, and then they'll go out. But what happens if, Tulsi Gabbard comes in from out of the blue and kind of go kick ass? They always up against the public opinion of the people, and it will reveal itself. It did it in Brexit, it did it in Trump, and they may do it again with an anti-war candidate, Democrat, and kind of cute and young, and I'm going to kick ass. And it doesn't have, I am of the opinion that it'll shut the F up on the feminine. They'll go, well, she's a self-hating, misogynist female or some bullshit like that. And I'm like, good, bring it on. So this kind of campaign, like, I'm interested. I want to see what happens. I'm not going to lift a finger. I don't care. But
it's funny. It's funny with the feminists. I often say, if you would shut up about feminism, that's probably the quickest way to get a woman as president. I mean, if you really want it. I mean, the more they keep talking about it, that's where the resistance comes
because
from.
I tell you what the mindset was. They're in their own freaking bubble and believe their own bullshit. You have, Hillary Clinton thought that all or most women, and we have over 50 whatever percent, this is my time. I'm going to get, the majority of the women vote, and I went, yoo-hoo. Well, what happened? They didn't. Sure as shit, not her. Learn how to bake some cookies, baby. So, which is funny to see Kirsten Sinema, senator, bisexual, progressive, never saw a tax I didn't love, and more spending as she's sitting there in the apron baking cookies is one of her pick just cause. I'm like, whatever, Now, these guys are playing these games. I don't think, from my first initial impression of Tulsi Gabbard, she's not playing their game. She's doing something else, and she's got an experienced politician father. She's had experience on the streets as a councilman in Honolulu. She's got this anti-war thing. She's saying Saudi Arabia is not our ally. You got, Lindsay Lohan is like diddling the head guy in Saudi Arabia. I find that of interest, of course. But and I don't care. But
Ernie, what's going on is I think she is the new candidate for the new media that's evolving now. You know, someone like her can't make it through the lock of the establishment legacy media. But the two things I said that Trump is doing, or three, you know, and people say, what has he done? A, he's trying to find some kind of ballast and grounding for our culture. And then two, he's destroying the media, or at least the legacy media, exposing them to the average American who's been complacent. And three, the Supreme Court and changing the culture for generations that way. Those are the three I will stand by. But as far as the media, deconstructing it and exposing it, that is what is happening in front of us. Everyone's getting caught off about, you know, racist tweet and this and all this BS, but they're missing the big picture, how the culture is changing and how he's navigating us through this transition and keeping I think, doing his best to allow the legacy media to die on the vine and allow the world that you have always been talking about, Ernie, to evolve. And it's happening very quickly. And when these things happen, you know, it's you wait, and finally,
it won't happen all at once, but it will happen overnight.
That's exactly what's happening now. And Ernie, it's funny. It's funny, since we're in the after show here. I don't want to sound like I'm too envious per se. I have to say there's a little bit of envy, but also a lot of clapping and encouragement. I think it's great what we're watching. But just in the last year, I've been following a lot of these YouTube channels. I'm sure many of you listening have your own channels that you watch. You know, you've got people, and like Gary Franchi is one of them. Tim Pool, and of course I won't go on all the names, but there's many people in the anti-Star Wars or the anti
jumped on Trump train.
Well, not just Trump, but also the culture war. Remember, I've said on your show that it wasn't just political stations. What the reason that Trump is
I'm seeing our conversations. We were 2-3 years ahead, and they are it's all over now.
No, exactly. It's everywhere. And I said last year on your show, I talked about how the win for Trump or the culture war is that the liberals, or the leftists, by constantly blaming Trump for everything, you know, if we happen to have rain, you know, it's Trump's fault or whatever it is, by constantly bashing him as a treasonous, you know, antichrist. It's forced people who don't want to talk about politics to start talking about it. That's what I kept telling your show. The culture war issue with comic books and in between Marvel and Star Wars and Star Trek and Doctor Who and all the crap that some of your listeners probably think, why are we wasting time on it? It's because it's the barometer of the culture I got done talking about. But also, these guys just want to talk about damn comic books. The fact that they're forced into it. I've been watching how their stations slowly have been changing. And they would admit, you know, I don't want to talk about it, but X, Y, Z. And then their ratings would go up. And more viewers would start jumping on their channels, the more they would attack the elephant in the room. And now many of these channels have given up just straight Star Trek talk. Now it's the culture war talk. All of them. And at the same time, these guys...
Because they're pissed off.
They're pissed off, and the viewership is through the roof on all of them. And it's funny, when you watch these channels, you know, one of the reasons that these guys are doing well too, and gals, is because you're more intimate with them. You know, you feel like you know them because they're talking to you as if you're on FaceTime every day. You start to trust these people for whatever their views are. And so when they get attacked, people take it personal. So, you know, we're starting to become even more tribalist as we decentralize into our own little channels. But what's also interesting is you see them broadcasting from their basement or maybe in their little apartment somewhere, right? You can see they're in a cheapy little apartment and they've got maybe a couple action figures behind them, or they got one little poster. And then it's like all of a sudden, in the last couple years or the last just year, all of these channels, Ernie, you watch them, they'll have different settings. They're not in a small little room. They're in these giant homes. I mean, that one guy, Ernie, that did the comic book. Remember, I told you the guy that he was a conservative who got thrown out and run out of DC, out of all the comic book companies.
Yeah,
because they got taken over by SJWs. Yeah. He made his own comic book and his own channel. This guy wound up he made $3 million in just the last year because of the website traffic and by him selling his own private comic books on GoFundMe. The guy's a multimillionaire in just the last year or so. And during the show, like as you listen to, if you follow him every day, and he's got his live casts, he's talking about, you know, like off the cusp once in a while about how he's looking for homes. And matter of fact, one of his live streams was him looking at homes and asking the viewers to help him pick which house to buy. And him and his wife are looking at these $1 million homes. And then he moved in, and they had a live stream where he invited some of the top donors to his pool party with the cabanas and all of this. I mean, it's like you're almost watching their lives improve. You're like with Gary Franchi, and all of a sudden he opens his trophy in his game room with all his video games and things. And I'm not saying this out of envy. It's fascinating to watch these lives being changed so dramatically, and now they have a taste of it. Tim Pool, I don't know if you watched, he started what's called the Subverse. It's a whole nother website. It's an actual. He's trying to make a true journalist broadcasting company using all new media, and it's called Subverse. And so he's sort of like the figurehead, but he's keeping himself separate from the Subverse. Ernie, you should check it out. They purchased a theater in I forget what state they're in. I was Ohio, wherever they're at. It's an old theater, like the Palace Theater, where back in the day, the W.C. Fields would show up in the town and they would do theater acts. It's a big theater. They bought this entire property to be the headquarters of their broadcasting team, and that they're able. And think about it, they were talking about what they're able to do now. First off, they can do live streams at any time. This entire theater is now set up with 4K cameras all over. They can have an audience at any time. They can have debates about political issues and live stream it all professionally, where they don't have to keep changing the cameras because they own the theater. Also, they've got a whole crack team of journalists that have certain ways of being able to vet the news, and with certain, I won't go into all that, but one of the things they said was to harness the power of the internet for news. They said where journalists always have their same sources, but they never seem to harness the internet itself. But they have kind of mastered a new way, they're claiming, of being able to get the news from the people themselves, people with cameras and contributions. And this whole new network of news distribution that we're seeing, the decentralization, we're watching it happen, as you said, Ernie, quick. It's happening right now. And so Subverse is another example. I'm seeing this across the board with the Next News Network and the money that's involved. These people are making big money very quickly. There was a poll done that high school students now in this country, the number one job that they want to be now is a YouTube star.
Yeah.
That's the hottest thing because they're seeing overnight people making tons of money selling widgets or just talking about.
You know what that reminds me of? I remember in Russia when it started, the Soviet Union was falling, it's the 90s and so on. The number one profession desired by high school females was to be a U.S. cash prostitute. They wanted to be a hooker. Hooker me up, man. And I'm wow.
Well, just the last point on this is you got people like Gary. I'm just picking on Gary for a minute, but all of a sudden their lives are turned around. They've got followings. They're making money. Well, now when YouTube shuts them down, they've had a taste of the big time. They've had a taste.
Yeah, they want YouTube to fix it again.
Exactly. So the motivation is there. True motivation to go to other networks, other formats. And that is why you can't put the genie back in, which, in all fairness, you've been predicting from day one, but it's happening now. And it's going to happen over this next election when the left clamps down big time. And they're going to show all of their cards. And if they do this to Democrats like Tulsi, it's going to expose that it's not just right-wing conspiracy. It really is happening. And that could unify this country, plus the decentralization for more moderates and centrists that don't have a voice right now. They will become the new news in this, again, decentralized, cross-pollination future of news aggregation. Whatever is going to come out of it, we're seeing it now, and 2024 is going to be that time. So someone like Tulsi will be able to be covered by the internet. The internet wants to talk about her. They're searching for her, but the system won't show it. So now we're seeing all these new organizations like Subverse pop up. So the infrastructure and platforms will be there for the next Tulsi or Tulsi herself, the next Ron Paul, the next Ross Perot, or whomever that we were looking to vet. There will now finally be ways where we can equitably look at, people's choices, which I know you love to vote. So, you'll look forward to that.
I vote every time I get to say, do, post, make, sign something to bring suck it.
Exactly.
Let's see. We've recently. All right, crap. All right, update minds.com. I want to see if they're on this El Paso shooting and all this Christchurch stuff, because we were supposed to have Bill Ottman from Mines on in the first hour, and he had a scheduling conflict with on Plain, Colorado thing or something. But, I'm going, yeah, could he have come on? Did he want to come on? It's just to come on. What's he know that I'm going to mention? I'm going to, so these shootings, these mass shootings, like the Christchurch thing, you guys censoring people writing about it? Are you? Are you? Now, when I log in here, we've recently updated our terms of service to reflect the network launch of the jury system. These changes are being implemented to ensure a balance of power between Minds, Inc., and the community. The following is a brief summary of what has changed. Creation of a separate content policy document for more clarity, clarification of licensing specifications and restrictions, clarification of terminology and overall grammatical improvements. We also note that your continued use of Mind serves as acceptance of these new terms and policies. So how often do I got to do that? I'm coming in and out of that. All right, so I haven't even looked at my Minds thing. I got it, and people are sending me crap and stuff. But I think that's what we're doing. I don't know that you know this. We hired Tiger for a month contract of doing a bunch of stuff that were with a whole bunch of stuff. The social media aspect, some cosmetic changes, a lot of things that Derek just doesn't have time for. So he set them up, and again, and Davi's going to be here Thursday for a couple of weeks, and we're going to get a lot of changes, and a lot of cosmetics, and a lot of old features updated and made available and so on within the next couple of weeks. So that's happening. Then Thomas Friedman, got him some resources and getting him some more goodies and whatever. He's the one that's scraping all of the YouTubes and all the sites and content and playing Google server guy. So we're doing the IPFS with all that. So he's in the middle of all that, got a bunch of stuff. So we're making sure this stuff doesn't go away. James Corbett is, for the last couple of weeks, man, he's got religion. He is pushing the crap out of Century of Enslavement, the Federal Reserve documentary that he did, because he's going, they have killed the internet of this. You, man, maybe if you get exactly the right wording, it might come up and you can find somewhere, but they definitely do not want you seeing Century of Enslavement, the Federal Reserve thing of James. So I'm for setting up, we already had it done. It's called Ernie's Favorites, that, la. So starting this Thursday for 2 weeks, I'm head down plow, and we're going to have a bunch of changes, and I've been setting up and behind the scenes and doing this. So now that I'm in on Minds, I'm going to go El Paso shooting. I want to see what's up. Okay, showing results for El Paso. El Paso shooting. Directly responsible, Trump says occasional cortex. Let's see, we got this, we got that. So I guess, eyewitnesses refute mainstream narrative in El Paso shooting. Ooh, let's see what's up there. Yep, so they got interviews and doing, all right, but that just linked over to YouTube. Well, that'll be up there for none. So... Yeah, see, it's still they're interfacing the two. I'm wondering how one affects the. All right. So I'm interested in how this plays out, and I wanted to talk to Bill about it. But it may be that they were like, ooh, they definitely didn't want to talk to Ernie. We had this scheduled before the shootings this weekend. So, how censorship are you going to be, huh? So when I click on this one, I'm showing the audience. I click on this. And where does it go? It goes to YouTube. See, there it is. Is this a YouTube thing? I think it is. YouTube. Yeah, it says YouTube. See, when I go like this, see, YouTube is now full screen. So it doesn't really say it's YouTube anywhere else other than it says it's YouTube. But, all right. Everything that we have been talking about is coming to pass. It's pretty much the way that we said it was going to happen, and the censorship stuff and all of that. I don't know. I was feeling pretty good being up at Jackalope because could see the mindset was more towards solutions. Good night, John Boy. The Anarchist, libertarian, voluntarist, leave me alone out here. I'm not bothering anybody. Maybe the ones that do the best and aren't as impacted. But when you got children, that's one thing how they try and control you. If you got any kind of retirement, that's how they control you. If you got bank accounts, if you got smartphones. So all of these stages of interface that we have with the man, they're getting less and less and less and less. They get more burner phones, or they don't use, a lot of the guys, they're not using smartphones anymore. They just don't, and they don't feel they can get the security. And they're not like crazy wacko. They go, I get it. What am I going to learn? They're going to tell me something I don't already know. And that's the point of all of this content that a lot of these guys have that I don't want to go away. You want to know what's really going on with the Federal Reserve? Century of enslavement. Boom. You really want to know what yada, yada, yada about what? The Brain at tragedyandhope.com with Richard Grove and Lisa Obercheski. I go, you want to really know what their mindset is and the inventions, electronics and warfare and psyop? True Stream Media, boom.com. There all that stuff is. You really want to know about the spiritual, yada, yada, yada. I mean, I got so much stuff that I use to help people understand what's going on, which is exactly what those do not want people to have access to. That's the point. You can save a decade of jerking around, dicking around, playing politics, going through, getting behind the curtain, filing lawsuits, doing all the stuff that I did for, 15 years, but it really took me about 3 months to figure out what was going on. But it was an effort to help make sure other people saw what was happening. Now that content that has been produced and provided, and even the stuff that we do for Trump Report and so on, you need episode blah, 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 and the date of and we talked about that. Or you want to know about this, or you want to know about that. And the Wednesday night stuff that I do with James Corbett every Wednesday. And I'm going, and he's on his horse, man. He's like, here it comes. I'm like, yep, what did you think was going to happen? But what does he do? He uses mines. He uses some of these other alternatives. But I'm just going, they're not quite there. And we'll see if they can make it. I got a bunch of other apps people keep sending me I haven't been talking about. Just let you know, they're in the works. There are hailing frequencies invisible to the ground. There are pirate communication apps. And who do they call when they are all excited? Nobody even knows the difference. Nobody cares. They're just looking for clicks or numbers or how much money I can make. Privacy has been written off as a goal. The blockchain stuff, I'm like, who the hell are these people? Where did they go? Well, it's where the money is. They go all maximalist on whatever the hell. It's like, where's my privacy? Well, I get called because I'm the only one that, as far as I know, as big a microphone as I got that has some influence, I'm screaming about this, so I get the context. Hey, Ernie, what you talking about? This is it. All right, if you're pirate communication, I'll make you famous. Here comes Davi this Thursday. We're going to start doing artwork. We're going to start setting up, and you'll see a big change cosmetically on a lot of things and how we interface. And Freedom's Phoenix was always a social media thing, a platform before there was one. And when we started growing, it just got too big too fast. God dang, man, how many freaking servers I got to have? Oh, and then you get the DDoS attacks, and you get the stuff coming after they don't watch. I go, all right, fine. You guys keep doing that. And learnify us. We want to see all your vectors. We want to see how you did it. We want to see why you did it. We need to see, because we're going to do what we're going to do. I guarantee it. And there's not a damn thing you can do about it, because I can just print up me a bunch of pirate books. No. So there's been, it's not a surprise to me what's happening. And I'm wondering how we're going to, after the 2020 election cycle. So you're pretty confident that Trump is going to get reelected. What do you think is going to derail that?
Well, it's funny. I was going to ask you in the very beginning of the show, but we kind of a different topic, but we should do a betting pool with you and the audience and see what the left is going to throw up as the ultimate October surprise for next year. Because if it's looking that bad, they have to either have the economy tank or a war. And God knows, I don't even want to float out there the levels of depravity that they might do to create an emergency, national or international, right before the election. And I think if they're that desperate and they're that cornered against the wall, the end of globalism. Remember, this isn't just in America. This is around the world, and the left knows it. Most Democrat leftists don't know this because they don't follow the world politics like we have on this show. But this is happening everywhere. It's happening everywhere.
Everywhere.
Liberal democracy, modernism,
Central America, South America, Europe, Asia, the Middle East, Africa. I don't know what's going on in Africa. I haven't kind of figured that out yet. But
we talked about on the show that liberal democracy is the last of the three modernist philosophies. The others being fascism, and the other being communism. And liberal democracy is the last of the three. You can see some of the other earlier shows when we talked about this, but it's the last one. And this one's about to go down. It's already over, but they're in the death throes right now. So we're going to see the flailing about.
I got to tell you this.
Like you haven't seen. And violence of an October surprise. So, any guesses, Ernie? We think they're going to pull out of their hat next year?
I think they'll go junior high, high school, and it'll be another peeing on you prostitute dossier bullshit with video this time of proof. That was manufactured by the AI of who gives a crap. It's going to be some last minute BS bullshit or something, and I don't care. I
really? You think it's going to be that? I think it's going to be. I'm talking violence. I don't think anyone cares. They can't label anything else on Trump.
No. I don't know. I don't know. You're talking about will there be the Straits of Hormuz all of a sudden blow up? One of the tankers actually gets sunk. A ballistic missile accidentally on purpose gets sent. Moab is. There's going to be whatever it takes. But I don't know if they're AI or their programming or their evaluation of relations with the people are going to be such that they know what to do to get them to support the state. I don't know. And I don't even think they have to. That's not what I've been seeing. What I've been seeing over the last decade is they don't change your mind. They just say everybody else's mind is, and you're just the crazy one. Everybody else believes something, and then they run that 24/7 on all their media to say this is what everybody believes, and you're all by yourself and you're stupid. Well, what happened was with Twitter and Donald Trump regularly tweeting, he bypassed all that and went, bullshit on you, and linked to this and that, so on. Twitter and that capability has what's jacked them up no end. And Jack Dorsey has the power. They could just, we don't have Twitter stuff anymore. But what did they do? They screwed themselves when they had the lawsuit that the president had to let the trolls on his Twitter feed. And they go, you have to open up and be, all right, fine. Now we complied. You did that. Now what are you going to do? You're going to take it off? You're going to delete it? If they have to, and at the right time and appropriate whatever. So Trump has to have an alternative communication, internet available, something, join whatever. And that's what I'm afraid of. A whole bunch of Franks are going to go out there and put their ankles to their ears and say, Uncle Sam, do me, as long as I get to be on, you get my database.
I love the way you see me, Ernie. I appreciate it.
You're going, ooh, I'm on Trump chat. Woohoo! Take all my shit, man. Rock and roll. So I think there's going to be a darkening, a communication blackout. There's going to be in the last month. There's going to be something. And everybody's going to be talking about that, and then they try and get Trump to react and do something stupid or whatever. But they're doing the same thing to Tulsi Gabbard, and I'm going, what the hell is in charge here? And it's obvious. It's Israel and the military-industrial whatever the hell. But with Israel, what's Tulsi do? I'm not fighting that one. I'm going to be nice and buddy up to whatever and we'll something. But
well, I'll put it this way. I'm seeing people on the left, because I do associate with many of them, especially in my profession. I'm always trying to get my ear to the ground to see how they interpret things. I'm not trying to change their mind. I just, I have a lot of barometers out there.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, the older Democrats, and I don't want to speak for all of them, but many of the liberals or somewhat leftists, they already distrust them because of what happened with Bernie Sanders. And I think many people believe Sanders could have won against Trump if he was allowed to.
And Tulsi was vice chair of the Democratic Party during that, and she endorsed him.
Awesome. So he definitely, I think, could have beaten Trump, and Trump almost said as much during a recent interview. He kind of, he paused in a way I won't go back into because you have to kind of see the interview. But he kind of wink acknowledged that Hillary basically was his godsend because I think he knew he would have lost to Bernie. So anyway, the thing is, many of the older leftists really despise the party because of what they did to Bernie. Now you've got people either they're jumping ship from Bernie because they think he's sold out establishment now too much, and now they're looking at younger, newer voices like Yang. Yang is someone that is getting the attention of many people. Marianne Williamson and Tulsi Gabbard. Those three alone are really gotten the interest of more of the centrist, moderate Democrats and many progressives. They want to at least hear from them, if nothing else. Even if Marianne Williamson can't win, I have many people that donate to her campaign. They just want to hear her message.
Yeah, no, this presidential debate selection bullshit, it's wearing thin over decades. I can't give you how many generations everybody's going calling bullshit on it, which was a big motivation for you. I mean, it was, all of a sudden you got all these other candidates. You go, whoa, where have these guys been? How come I haven't heard about that? That's happening on a much larger scale now.
Exactly. That's what's happening on the left. The last group of people who were basically red-pilled. I mean, first we had libertarians, and we've always been red-pilled watching the whole system. Then finally, over the last number of years, the Tea Party Republicans began to be red-pilled. I mean, that's kind of what the Tea Party was red-pilling. Now, I know you and I had major arguments on the air that were kind of epic, I guess, about this issue. That to me, it was a significant difference, and I think you might see it now. I mean, I was watching the hosts, their own vetting on their own show, and so the Tea Party took over the conservative wing, even on Fox and other areas. So now the Republicans began to be red-pilled, and they are cleaning house in their own, at least attempting to. We can debate that later whether Trump is or not, whatever. But now you've got the Democrats, the last group, because they were in the ultimate bubble. Now they're starting to realize that they've been lied to, that they're being controlled in ways that they didn't know. And that is the awakening. That's the last part of our country to wake up, to acknowledge the manipulation we've been under for decades on both sides. And maybe when the liberals see how they've been manipulated, they might not necessarily agree with conservatives or libertarians, but I think they might start to at least have some understanding and realize that maybe we've been pitted against each other, but more than they knew. And that might be the bridge for this country.
My opinion is that the bridge is going to be more in the cultural aspect and pop culture and a lot of things that, you've been talking about. Because I'm of the opinion that people like freedom, and options is associated with freedom. I have an option. I want to buy this kind of car. I want to buy this kind of bread. There's day wear, evening wear. I mean, it's, you're going to have evening wear is the same gray outfit with a flashlight. So I'm just going, when you have all these options, that's when people feel, more freer. The cage is bigger. It's gilded a little bit. When you start taking those options away, when you start telling them what they're going to hear, what they're going to believe, which is what? A lying sack of shit, and you see me as a livestock. And I'm going, nope, we're not doing that anymore. Things will change. You'll see things change. Corporations don't require degrees anymore because they're worthless. They got to spend a whole freaking year deprogramming a kid and screw it, man. Give me somebody, smart 8th grader. I'll show them how to do it, So that is changing. You're not going to have this exposure to the university as much. I mean, kind of 4 years of brain dead. They come back from college. You go, who the hell is this kid? Then you have business. They're not looking for government contracts as much. Some are, of course, but people are just trying to stay away from the man. They're trying to use crypto. They're trying to be clandestine. They're going on Craigslist. They sell their stuff online in a different forum of Bite Me. The whole thing is that, we got to do it right and go to the blue pages and the white pages of the government permission slip to do. That's going away. That is my win. I don't give a shit what votes a kid got. That don't matter. It's general public opinion that these guys determining what you can and can't do, and for whatever reasons, is bullshit. That what doesn't matter what they say. Screw them. So when you're talking about federal elections for POTUS in 2020, they're going to eventually, like you're saying, there's going to be civil war, there's going to be resistance, there's going to be whatever the hell it is, and it's going to go down to smaller spaces. It's going to be a city council say, bite me, we're not doing this anymore. County goes, bite me, we're not doing that anymore. New governor gets in, bite me, we're not coordinating with whatever anymore. And that's happened already. We have seen it with gun laws and with drugs. This is changing already, right now. And the next one that we got to get over that is going to bankrupt the entire country, every state, every community, everything, are the pensions. It's all this municipal corporation of how much money we can get in pensions of the firemen and police and the city council, the city workers, municipal, everybody, vote for us to give them an 8% increase every year, and now they're making bank, and that was what they vote yes on Prop 105 and 106 over by you over there. Have you seen those signs?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I don't really know what the hell they were talking about, but one said, keep our promises to retirees. I don't even know and I already know. It is for municipal employees need to have more money directly from the general fund, pay their pensions first to fully fund them while everybody else is going poor. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah.
What was the other one? 104, 105. There something. The other one was, build more roads. We need roads. We need to improve our roads. They always say roads, and then money never goes to that. So at what point did the people go, you guys are all lying sacks of shit, I'm not doing nothing.
Well, remember there was a proposition just
Baltimore.
a few years ago. Remember it was like 4 years ago or something, and it was this massive spending for road program. It was like, I don't know how many billions of dollars, and it was supposed to be over like 10 years. And I might be getting
the children, the roads. Here. The children, the road. They alternate.
Yeah. But it was like this was a huge increase. But they said, I know it seems like it's a lot of money, but keep in mind this is a 10-year program, infrastructure and blah, and with the suggestion that they won't have to tap us again for 10 years because if you just pay up a lot right now, you'll save money long term because they'll work on it on 10 years. And of course, 4 years later, people forget about it already, and now we're doing it again. Like, we need more money. And that doesn't even include, by the way, the not to get too much in local Arizona politics.
It's the same everywhere. You don't do too much. It's the same.
No. I know. I'm just talking about locally, though. Are you aware of the new the $30 increase in your automobile registration license?
That right? The department director can increase whenever he wants.
Well, they can, and that became an issue. And now, although it was passed and most people didn't pay much attention, now it's finally time to pay the piper. And Joe Schmo, Arizona in here, is getting hit with that $30 increase, and they're starting to protest. You're seeing a lot more people protesting up at the Capitol. So we'll see what comes.
No, they were looking to increase monetary. I had Carol Springer on when I first started doing radio in 2003. She was state treasurer.
$30.
And she comes on, and I'm going, well, how are they going to this and pay for that and do? And we were talking about the CAFR and all that kind of stuff, which she knew about. She's going all on about it. And then she became a supervisor up in Yavapai County, Prescott, whatever. But she was a state legislator. Said, I just saw Senator Karen Johnson up at Jackalope. She went to Jackalope. It was awesome. So we got to hang with her. And she's one of us. She retired, and she was always introducing libertarian stuff, pissing them off. And conservative Mormon legislator that just whip ass. Well, Carol Springer was not her caliber, but she was kind of, called BS on a lot of things. Became state treasurer. Had her on, and they had some big giant expenditure doing more pension crap. So I'm going, how the hell are they going to do that? She goes, write more tickets. The Department of Public Safety, they just put out the word, we need to increase the quota, go get some, and they go out and they write more tickets. So it got to the point that they were writing so many tickets and they're doing people getting pissed off. They go, if we just had everybody just paid a $30 extra fee on their, go to us, we wouldn't ticket you so much. You don't want to ticket you so much, do you? Oh, and if I need more, in the law, it gave the Department of Public Safety head guy or whatever the ability to automatically increase that $30 to whatever the hell he says he needs when you go register your car.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going, I have heard about it. Sons of bitches. And I'm going, you just keep that shit up.
And again, it's a huge increase comparatively. It's just beyond what you'd expect. It's like your rent going up, 75% or 50%. It's a huge increase. But their transportation seems to be an easy pull for politicians.
No, because it was.
Hey, look, I gotta finish up, but before I go, I wanted to do a call out to a television show, a cable show, so to speak, on Amazon Prime that you, Ernie, should watch. And a lot of you listeners might
Oh,
like to check
pray
out.
tell! What do I got?
Here we go. Here
All
we go.
right.
This is like Siskel and Ebert. So it's called The Boys. Have you heard about it?
Yeah, I think I saw it, but I thought that was some kind of supernatural vampire thing or something.
No. So I'll give you a quick rundown. So it's based off of a graphic novel series by the infamous Garth Ennis. And Garth Ennis is sort of like he's kind of one of the premier writers of adult comic books for the last like 15, 20 years. Kind of like Frank Miller was famous back in the 1980s for The Dark Knight and many of the Killing Joke, and also before that, the writers of Watchmen. There's some like famous writers in comic book lore, and this guy Garth Ennis is kind of like the new hot property. It's very very violent, but also a lot of commentary. Anyway, real smart and witty. They finally spun off one of his properties called The Preacher that was on AMC, and I don't know if the ratings were that good for it.
I remember that. Some people liked it.
The Preacher, I didn't really watch it, but anyway, so he did one called The Boys, and they finally adopted it. Now, in all fairness, it's a bit watered down because it's really pretty violent and a lot of it's not very politically correct in the comics.
It's got 4.5 stars, 9.0 on IMDb.
It is a fantastic show. So,
all right, let me read the bio here. It says,
wait, I make it easier. So it's kind of like a cross between Men in Black and Watchmen. So it takes place in an alternate reality here in America of today. And basically, superheroes really do exist. And superheroes have been around for like since 1940s or so. Okay, superheroes began to appear here in America, and people had different powers. And basically, these superheroes in this show are just kind of like clones of famous heroes. So there's one guy called A-Train, who's pretty much the Flash. He runs really, really quick. And they have, a Wonder Woman character, but they're just called different names. Anyway, and one of them is a cross between Superman and Captain America, and he's called Homelander, and he's pretty much the leader of all of them. Well, anyway, all of these superheroes exist in our world, and there's like hundreds of them or 1,000 of them out there apparently, and the top 7 are in the group called the 7, which is essentially the Avengers. So it's like the Avengers, and the Avengers is run by a corporation called Vought Corporation. And basically, this winds up being is these superheroes are essentially the new version of the military-industrial complex. And the company Vought, is kind of controlling these superheroes as sort of as this security for the country. And they can outmaneuver tanks and everything else. So now there's a lot of politics about who really is controlling the deep state, is who he can control the superheroes. The question is, how do you find the weakness in each superhero? But then what you find out, and by the way, I'm not spoiling, this is just the setup, is that these superheroes are not really superheroes. That really what they are regular human beings that got these powers. But what happens when people have unlimited power? I mean, in the comic books, it's like they're all do-gooders. You're Superman, you're spending your time getting cats out of trees. But in real life, what would happen if you had that kind of power? What would your sexual libido be like? What happens when no one can ever say no to you and you can't be stopped? I mean, at what point does your nurturing, does your growing up, basically dissolve into just primal instincts and demands. And so therefore, it's interesting because you wind up having this subsection group called the Boys, and their kind of job is to keep the heroes, the so-called heroes, in check, because a lot of times they do bad things. And then you have to have a cleanup crew come out and deal with it, and deal with the media and with the media manipulation, because these heroes have to have a public face. They're on the Dow Jones. They have stock options. These superheroes also get traded like sports figures. So therefore, you have a superhero in every town, which winds up becoming for ratings, for marketing, to sell T-shirts. And if you have a good hero in your town, then you get more marketing, more visitors come to that state. So these heroes traded and bought and sold, along with all the baggage as properties and commodities. And these heroes are really broken human beings that just don't know their place in the world. They're too powerful. They, anyway, there's so much subtext.
Yeah, I'm watching, or I'm showing the trailer. It's like 3 minutes long while you're talking. Well, the one thing I give it props right off the bat is, what's that? Cuban, or this guy plays Bones in the new Star Trek series.
Oh, I know. He's awesome in the show.
And he was the head guy. He was the lead detective in Almost Human, which I really liked and did one season, and it was gone. I'm like, what the hell, man? So because it was whatever. And so this seems interesting. I'm almost ready to turn off Hulu and Netflix. I have, Donna needed to have Hulu because it had whatever the hell it was on it, like Last Man Standing or something. And then you have, then we got Netflix. Delia's Catch is on Netflix or Amazon, whatever. I'm just like, can we, maybe you keep Prime, Amazon, Jeff Bezos, gets to do an anal probe on me because I get, Prime shipping and all this other stuff. And I'm just going, I'm really getting next to, close to just screw all of them. I got streaming for anything I really want to see anyway. And I'm just...
Ernie, you're not alone. That's what I was saying earlier. The streaming wars are about to collapse because everyone's jumping in. CBS All Access. They all think that everyone's going to put out another $7 to $10 for their little segment of crap that they're putting out. And people are just throwing their hands up because we're back to the cable bill again. You've got how many different channels, each of $8, $9. And at least before, you could get each under one package. The cable guy comes in, sets you up, you have a remote. Now you've got to have different accounts with each one, different credit cards.
Because it's going to the internet. It's not cable.
It's a pain in the ass, right? The last thing I want to do is plug Bezos. But I have to say, of all the networks I think Amazon Prime has the most bang for the buck. The shows are not as SJW political as Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix has gone super. Are you freaking kidding me?
I know.
Every single new program, every thought. I'm like, I'm so sick of, even testing them. I don't care anymore. Netflix is really starting to lose me. And Hulu, because it has the Hulu plays like a day or two delay on those on broadcast. They'll put some stuff up there and they have some old reruns or movies or something like that. But I'm like losing interest in that too. And so it may be, I hate to say this, it may just be Prime in the internet. But I need a VPN to do it. Then they don't want you to be able to do a VPN. Then they don't want you to be. And the fact that I travel a lot and I'm around and I use a different IP or a different wireless or in a hotel or something, it's like I got to go through 15 gazillion. Yeah, it's really me. Here's my retina scan to do anything. And I'm going, this is not normal. This is not good. We're way to being tracked and prodded and stuff. I'm not feeling it. I do like to have access to like how-tos and videos and so on, which mostly are on YouTube. And I'm going, yep, but that's starting to go too. And I'm sitting here, so I want to talk to Bill today. I'm going, look, man, we're right on the edge. Where are we going? Which way? And I know what Bill would, he could already feel it, is that, yep, how are you dealing with this El Paso Dayton thing? What stuff are they saying you can't put up, down, and they're penalized and kind of you're not allowed? What are they doing? Well, Brighteon, Mike Adams over at Natural News, he started Brighteon probably before anybody else a year or two ago. And what happened? You do some Christchurch thing, boom, you don't take that down, you're not going to have access to the infrastructure pipeline you're done. And I'm going, yep, see, told you. So it's going to be people just making little bitty, itty bitty anarchist decisions of I'm doing this and not that, and my $10 is going to not them. And this is why we talked about this before, and you'll probably understand it more than most, Frank. I was talking to, a wealthy friend of a wealthy friend, and he was explaining this to me. I'm going, I don't understand why you're so big on the interest rate over here having an impact. How does that have an impact on the stock market so much and immediate and whatever? And when they lowered the interest rate, what happened? The stock market took a dump. And I'm going, why? And I'm still not understanding that. But this is basically the point that he was making. If I take $1 million, I got $1 million, and I were to put it, and I go, all right, what is this $1 million going to give me the most on something? I put it in treasuries, which are taking a dump right now. That's a whole nother thing. But let's say 2%. I put it in a 10-year treasury, 2%, I get nothing, or hell, 30 years is 2% now. So I'm going, so I go in and I go, let's say it's 2%. I don't know, it's 3, whatever, who cares. But I get 2%. I remember it was 6, 8, 15. I mean, back in the day. So now you're having this really low interest rate. So I'm going, all right, $1 million at a 2% interest rate gives me, I don't know, $20,000 a year or something. So I'm making $20,000 a year on my $1 million. They ain't doing, I can do lots of stuff with that, but you got it liquid and it's there and you feel comfortable about it. Well, what happens is these companies are valued by their subscriptions of how much they make per month. If I have subscribers, I got 20,000 subscribers at $10 a piece. That's 20,000. No, so I got 2,000 subscribers at $20 a piece. Whatever it is, it comes out to $20,000. I don't know what is it? 20. I got $1 subscribers, 20,000 people at $1. There, I got $20,000 revenue. So they're going. Each one of these subscribers are worth X amount of dollars that I have. That means 20,000 $1 a month subscribers means your company is valued at $1 million because the revenue stream that you're getting from your investment is the same as if you put it over into a treasury. You see my point? Mm-hmm. So when the interest rate goes up over there, on treasury bills, let's say it gets to 5%, all of a sudden that means I got to generate $50,000. So each one of my clients is, if I do that, it has a valuation equivalent to where the interest is being paid on the valuation of people putting $1 million somewhere would give them the same revenue stream as the subscribers. You see my point? So the subscribers, the more there are that they go in, that is based on the interest rate on, the Fed. That and sometimes it's even explicit in the contract or whatever. But the point is that the revenue stream I get from investing in a treasury and the revenue stream I get from subscribers, that's what gives Netflix or the companies that value. You go, how do you evaluate this? I mean, there's subscribers. There's not it's called the internet. They got a bunch of servers. How do you value these servers? How many subscribers they have? Well, what the hell does that mean? Well, if you have these subscribers giving you X amount of dollars, how much money would you? What's the valuation of the principal you would put in to get that amount of revenue if you put it over there? So I'm going, that's how they're valuing these companies. So when the interest rate, goes up or down, it has an impact on how they compute the value of the company. So now with the subscriber and it's just taking a dump, I'm going, really? Okay.
But, Ernie, there's just kind of a little coda to that too. And I was commenting earlier that the watching patterns have completely changed. And now with so many choices, okay, a lot of people, maybe they can
which
only
affect
afford
subscriptions.
Well, think about it. If you only afford one, right? A lot of people that can only afford, let's say, it's either Hulu, Netflix, Amazon. They pick one. But what they do, though, is they sit there, they sign up to one that they have a list of shows in which they want to watch, and then they binge watch them. And then over a course of a month, they watch all of the shows that they want, and they cancel it. Then they go to the next, they go over to Hulu if they got a bunch of shows there the friends are talking about. So what's happening is these subscription services did not count on this. They figured that, like the old world, you sign up for HBO, you have it for 10 years. Instead, people are hopscotching from network and platform to platform monthly. This is what young people are doing, and it's completely throwing off the numbers that you're talking about.
Or they're downloading it and copying it and putting it on their hard drive and sharing it with their friends and suck it.
Yeah, I mean, this all happened with Star Trek. Everyone signed up for CBS All Access just for 1 month to find out how bad Star Trek Discovery sucks. Everyone but Ernie Hancock, of course. But anyway, then they all dumped it. And then the same thing with YouTube.
It wasn't Star Trek, but it didn't totally suck. But,
no, it does suck, but we'll argue later.
Well, what about Picard? You going to watch Picard? They got a little data in there.
Oh, God, no. I mean, are you kidding me?
See, my thing is, I didn't sign up for CBS. I didn't sign up for HBO to watch Game of Thrones. I didn't sign up, but I'm not missing out. I mean, I had to wait a little while or it'd be a little rougher or I get it some other time or whatever, but I'm not missing out.
Right. That's a whole nother
FOMO.
I get
Fear of missing out.
Yeah. Or like YouTube Red. They're trying to do their own service. They have nothing except one of the best shows out there right now, which is the the spinoff of Karate Kid, Cobra Kai. I'm telling you, it was probably one of the best shows ever. It is too beyond better than it has any right to be, is Cobra Kai.
Okay, I watched the first couple of episodes. I didn't get a semi, but I mean, it didn't suck. I thought it was kind of a cool, a continuation sequel with the same guys and everything. I watched it because you said, but I didn't like.
I mean, it's not Breaking Bad, but I mean, for all these spin-offs of all these different properties, you roll your eyes thinking, oh my God, Karate Kid, like just let it rest already. But what they were able to pull off with the writing, and it just gets better as the show goes. But anyway, it's TV if you have the time. But it gives you an idea that these stations are all having their one anchor show. Star Trek on CBS, Cobra Kai on YouTube. They're all, and of course, Star Wars, the new Star Wars Mandalorian series for Disney. They're all banking on this one show, thinking that that's going to anchor people to their network, but they didn't count on people showing up, watching it for 1 month and canceling. So it throws off their subscriber base analytics that you were just talking about, and they don't have an easy way around this. They're trying to find ways to block it. Maybe they're going to have mandatory 6-month or 1-year contracts you have to do, and that'll just kill the whole service. They start playing games like that. So this is a revolution in media and streaming and content, on how we devour our content, on top of with news. And honestly, Ernie, too, what the show The Boys demonstrated for a lot of people is that people are just fed up with the old world. It's like people are just they've spoiled or soured the milk, right? And so people are weaning off of the old world.
It is the blue face syndrome is starting to go away, and that's one of
all the IPs. We just don't care anymore. Like the new Star Wars movie's coming out, and the diehard fans.
We're not done yet. We got to go through another one.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We don't even care. Like there's it's not trending anywhere. Nobody cares.
When's it come
Galaxy's Edge at Disney World. Nobody's showing up. There's no lines. I mean, it's just people are just, you know what? I'm done. I'm done with Marvel. Done with this. I'm done with the Super Bowl. Done with that. It's like this country has deeper problems. And Ernie, I remember this from my grandparents, my Polish grandparents who lived during the Great Depression. And I often found it interesting that a lot of the older people that I hung out with, because I was raised by them, so I had more exposure to the elderly around that time frame than most young people. And I found it interesting how few interests and hobbies that they had. It wasn't like my grandparents were like big sports people. They didn't sit there and celebrate the movie stars. I mean, of course they like Clark Gable and but it wasn't like they really didn't have all these interests and hobbies. And this is both sets of grandparents, my aunts, uncles. And I started to realize through time that they lived through polio. They lived through the Nazis. They lived through, the Great Depression. They've lived through many things in this country. And I think they were more mature. They didn't sit around and play Dungeons and Dragons or argue about sports or worry about their wax job on their car if it's the wrong color or something. I mean, they had more serious issues to deal with. And I think they looked at our generations and did as just spoiled brats, because pretty much we haven't lived through real travesty. And I think this country is starting to feel, with this possible quote unquote civil war brewing, that we have more serious problems. And so if they're going to be taking away Star Wars and making James Bond a black female and just play all these games, it's like, I'm done with it. There's something else brewing, and I think attention is all turning to something more serious. So that's what I sense, and I think there's a maturing of the culture, I think, is what's going to happen.
Well, who's going to be left out? I mean, is it the woke young men, young women, it's always, they go, the girls always want the bad guy. I give you an example. My two sons kind of were two different, personalities. The older one, a year and a half older, Forrest, he's just very sweet, cool, generous, kind of, and of course young girls don't appreciate that. And I'm going, don't worry about it, man. You're going to be fine. So he's fine. Great father, husband. He's happy as hell. Never seen him happier. My other son is, the super duper cute athlete, a year younger than him, kind of got it going on, and a little bit more bad boyish. But in high school, who do the girls want? They want the bad boy. Kind of the, the assertive, aggressive kind, and just going, why would they prefer that over? It's a maturity thing. As time goes on, you start to realize, what is important in your life. As time goes on, the culture matures and we get more experiences and they know what videos, which is why they are finding some kind. God, this thing is bloody as hell. This boys thing. I'm watching trailers. Holy shit. They got buckets of blood. What is this, Carrie?
It's great
crap. Anyway, so the as time goes on, they start to realize they're going, this is more important than that. I would prefer to promote this than that. This is what I think is better than that. It's just a maturity thing, and they're counting on, they, them, those are counting on your more primal instincts to be influenced by cleavage, legs, violence, and fear. And after you get, I go, why, we're not afraid, unafeared. Why? Why are you unafeared? Why? Because you understand it a little bit more. Because you see what's going on. Because you know they're full of crap. Because you can avoid this. Let's not go over there. Don't drive down that road. Don't go to that neighborhood. Don't, talk to cops. I mean, whatever it is, you make those conscious decisions and your life changes. Well, that's what I'm seeing happening. People are starting to communicate. And when you have all of this control, when you have how they're treating Tulsi Gabbard in the supposedly free election of the American democracy of blah, 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 and you got big giant corporations doing this kind of stuff and screwing with your head on your subscriptions and, screwing with the interest rates and doing this. It's just all controls. And sooner or later, public opinion and just the force of individuals making individual decisions totally turns over the apple cart. And they don't know how to put it back together when government loses credibility. The whole concept, when it's gone, you're done. And you are a subscription-based government of nobody pays anymore. And then how do you do your... What do they do? Prop 105, 106. We got to fully fund and pay, and we need more than the children and guns. And I'm going, that is not going to continue. It can't. I mean, it physically, and I've been surprised before though when I've had the same feeling, be it in the end of the '90s when the .com thing in like 2000 and so on, they put that back together. Then we had the housing thing and the economy take a dump in 08, 09. They kind of kicked the can down the road on that. They're going to do, some kind of pull some shit out of their ass now that they're going to, try and keep going with this country as has credibility that the states even want to be part of. And I'm going, sooner or later, there's going to be a decentralization down to the individual. That's why the pirate thing is to define that so you understand what the proper role is, what your relationship with each other and somebody else that says they get to rule you. This is where we're going to have big, giant discussions, and it is going to be none of you freaking all. You're all scumbag pieces of crap. To hell with you. You guys are just figureheads for this military industrial new world they live order of, how much crap you can get out of me. So I'm just going, nope. I can see it, and I don't have a problem staying steadfast where I am but we can use the Gabbard just like we did. I didn't vote for Ron Paul. I didn't go out and vote officially. I mean, I wrote on a piece of paper and gave it to him. But, I'm like, that's not what is going to be the difference. The difference is the kind of coverage that Frank and I are doing on this with the Trump report and the cultural aspect of it and what you're seeing on the internet and television and broadcast and even the books and magazines and the writing and Newsweek for $1 so they can put Obama's face on it at the airport. It's all a facade and bullshit. What is real? It's the people. It's just their opinion. And they're trying to finagle that in such a way that they can maintain their shiny badges and positions of power one more election cycle. Any final words, Frank?
Trump 2020.
That's it. That's all you get. Shit.
Yeah, you got to get out of me.
Is that what you're counting on?
Come on. All right, buddy. Hey, look, it was nice chatting, and we'll keep in touch soon. All right, and By the way, Katie at my office is waiting for your phone call. She goes, "How is Ernie? I can't wait to talk to him." So.
Yeah, no, Donna. Well, she said she was going to set it up, but you missed the party last weekend this last weekend, and Savarda and Phaedra were there. They were awesome. That baby's beautiful. Just wanted to sit on the tire swing for hours, man. That was her thing, and it was great to see them, and it was good to see them without you. I get to talk to them. Screw you.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, and they all send their love, and we will keep in touch. All right.
Peace, brother.
Hopefully, Trump will tweet something, and then next week we'll have something to talk about.
Shit. All right. Talk to you later, Frank.
All right. Peace. Bye.
Peace.